Hi there, I'm Jamie Taylor. Welcome to Your Health Matters, brought to you by Kingman Regional Medical Center, your community-owned hospital. Every week in this program, I have a different guest, and we talk about different programs, services, opportunities that I think will be of interest to you and your family. So I hope you'll stay tuned and join us right after these messages. Welcome back to Your Health Matters. My guest today is Dr. Kevin Brown with Kingman Family Practice. Thank you again for being on the show.
Well, thanks for inviting me.
And Dr. Brown, before we go too far, I want to just chat briefly about, how long have you been in Kingman? You've been here for a while now.
Not quite 8 years.
8 years? Boy, time flies when you're having fun. Because I can't remember when you came. That shows how long I've been here. And you've pretty much the whole time been here in the medical office building.
Right.
Right?
Upstairs in Suite 209.
Right. And now you're getting ready to move. You're going over to the Wallapai Mountain, no, that's not right. Mountain Shadow Medical Center on Wallapai Mountain Road.
That's correct.
So you'll get it right eventually. But the good news for your patients, even though your office is changing, they have the same phone number to call, so they can still reach you the same way.
Right.
And really the only thing that's changing is that you're going to be over in that pretty new building there on Wallapai Mountain Road. So I don't know, is your new office bigger? Have you seen it yet?
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
And they're moving me tonight, so
Oh.
it'll be a surprise on Tuesday morning.
Yay, look at this. Hopefully your move is kind of like our move, is that you just get to show up in the morning and all your boxes are there and you don't have to do any of the heavy lifting. Right? So your primary focus, your family medicine, so that means you see pretty much everybody.
Pretty much everybody. I primarily focus on adults, though.
Okay. And you have specialties, right? Which is what?
Well, osteopathic manipulation, board certified in family medicine, osteopathic manipulation, and
Okay.
also hyperbaric and undersea medicine.
Oh, that means you work in the wound care center.
I work in the wound care center.
Oh, very good. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
You're the
I'm-
medical director for
No, that
no?
would be Dr. Takula Khan,
Oh, okay.
but I'm the only board certified
Oh, okay.
person in undersea and hyperbaric medicine in Kingman.
You know, when we first got that hyperbaric machine, no, what do they call it? Hyperbaric
Chamber.
Chamber, that's what it is. And someone told Terry and I in my office that that's really good for wrinkles, and we volunteered, but they didn't take us up on it. Sorry, I know.
That's okay.
I'm very,
Medicare has only a few special diagnoses they'll reimburse for that. So
yeah, and wrinkles
it's
isn't
limited.
one
Wrinkles
of them.
isn't one of them.
So with the hyperbarics, you have your patients that have wounds that don't heal
Wounds
type
that
of
won't
thing?
heal, yes.
And so putting them in that chamber helps with that. How?
We put them under high pressure pure oxygen, and it super oxygenates their blood supply, so it promotes wound healing.
Oh, so it's actually just putting more oxygen into their blood.
Into their bloodstream, yeah. It's not the oxygen on the wound, it's the oxygen that goes into the lungs, into the bloodstream,
It's moving.
and helps heal that way.
Because that's the circulation is a big part of why.
Circulation is a big part. Most of our patients that go in there are diabetics that have lost significant circulation because of either hypertension, diabetes, or a lot of other reasons.
Yeah.
Venous stasis, you name
Right,
it.
and so the blood's just not flowing, moving good through the body, and things just don't heal like they're supposed to.
And that helps. It really helps. It really helps oxygenate the tissue and promote healing.
I wonder how they figured that out. That's kind of cool, because I know, hyperbaric chambers, I'm familiar because my brother was a deep sea diver, and so that, with the bends.
Yeah,
and
that's
that.
one of our treatment options, except
Okay.
we don't see a lot of bends in Arizona.
Not around here too much. But I wonder how they went from, it must have been side effects that they saw, good side effects, where when they were treating for bends, other things must have improved. maybe.
Probably some serendipitous findings, but it's one of those things that's easy to put together that oxygen wounds will heal.
Yeah, and circulation being an
Exactly.
important part of it, so that's kind of cool. Then we were one of the first in the area, I think,
We
to
were
get.
the first in
We
the
were
area.
the first to get one of those, so that's even more cooler. It's one of the things I like about KRMC. You know, it's
It's pretty
state-of-the-art,
progressive, yeah.
yeah, state-of-the-art technology, and reinvesting back into the hospital and our equipment and stuff makes it even better to have that good stuff to work with. But I know, back to your other specialties, you do quite a bit, or work with both men and women?
Both
for
men and
hormone
women with hormone
replacement
issues, yeah.
therapy. So what kind of things, I mean, hormones, I mean, I know from a woman's standpoint, but what kinds of side effects or issues are there with hormone issues?
I mean, as far as the need, or as far as the side effects of the medication?
Well, let's start off, like, how would I know that I'm having hormone issues?
If you're having hormone issues, you might have some depression, irritability, lack of sleep, anxiety, loss of libido.
Hot flashes?
Certainly hot flashes.
Hot flashes. And does that affect men the same way?
No, men, when their hormones diminish, they'll have issues with libido and some ED, as well as they might be anxious and depressed as well.
Okay, okay. So
They might be
could-
irritable.
Okay, well.
For no reason.
No. Besides the normal stuff.
Besides the normal stuff, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Then we check their levels and replace them, generally with a topical androgel or injections if we have to. And we see that all of a sudden their memory improves, they're less irritable, less depressed, sleeps better.
Interesting. Now, is that just really a matter of age, as our bodies age and we stop producing the hormones, or what kind of things?
Primarily, yeah, it's a lack of age, or a process of aging. But we also I see it in several young men too, that come in and they just are low to begin with.
Okay, so just maybe genetic or something that they just didn't have a lot right
Yeah.
away, and then.
Might have had low to begin with and then rapidly diminished with age faster than normal.
Okay.
And then you might also see it in former bodybuilders that use supplements,
Oh.
right?
So like steroids and things like that?
If
will
they use
affect it?
anabolic steroids, that would decrease their own innate testosterone production, and then when they take it away, they're not able to catch up.
Oh,
So I have a
okay.
couple of ex-bodybuilders now that are supplementing because they kind of ran themselves out.
That makes sense. That, you know, your body's, you're forcing it, in essence, to produce extra, and then all of a sudden you take that away, and it's like, I'm done now.
Exactly.
So you said you can use either cream or injection, and they see those changes now. Is that like an ongoing thing? So, like you have a cream that you put on every day?
Right.
Or,
Cream or gel every day.
okay.
And it pretty much brings the blood levels back to a normal or reasonable level. We
Okay.
never try to get the levels higher than normal.
Oh, right.
You know,
yeah.
that's just
that
out.
would be good.
No,
That'd be
not
the other
good.
extreme.
No, we don't do that. But I find that we get some men that are very happy and satisfied, and wives that are happy as well. And at the same time, like you said, though, that is an ongoing process. Once you stop it, you'll go back to where you were before.
Okay, okay. And injections, if you do it by injection, is that kind of to kickstart it more?
We use an injection a lot of times to kickstart initially, to get the blood levels up instantly, and then supplement with the creams or
So
gels.
they go ongoing.
And then in some cases, we have some men that for whatever reason, they just don't absorb very well through the skin.
Oh.
And we have to go to injection.
And then they do that
Yeah.
like weekly, monthly?
That'd be weekly or bi-weekly.
Okay.
Because it does give a high a level, and
Oh,
then
okay.
it drops, and
Drops
it becomes a
back
sinusoidal wave, and we try to get it more of a
Try to
level.
stable it out,
Right.
raise it a little bit more.
That's why the gel daily keeps it
Makes
pretty
it
much
be-
stable if
sure.
it absorbs well.
Okay. Now, and for women, again, the aging process, but then if they've had hysterectomies,
Well, hysterectomy
menopause.
or oophorectomy, where the ovaries are removed.
Right,
You know,
yeah.
because you can have a hysterectomy and leave the ovaries, and the levels are fine.
Right.
You just don't know when menopause is happening,
Right.
other than the symptoms, because they never had periods. so
Right, yeah. So then they just know by the mood swings and
they go
that
from
kind of stuff.
The mood
that-
swings and irritability, the lack of libido, and they come in and ask me. They get referred by friends, and so most of my referrals here are from patients.
Word of mouth kind
Word
of
of mouth.
thing. Yeah, because they see the difference.
They see the difference in their friends and say, "What's going on with you?"
Yeah.
And then they come in and see me
You're on a good drug. What is it?
on something. Yeah. So we've done quite well.
Yeah,
You
that
know,
is good.
I inherited my practice from Dr. Birkenweil, who was doing this
Oh,
prior to me coming
okay.
on board. And I had limited knowledge of it, and I just had to
Okay.
get up to speed when I got here and read up and take over. Otherwise, I'd have lost a lot of my patients.
Because once you get them in there, they don't want to lose that, right?
No.
Once you get started, that would be, yeah, especially if you, I mean, I would think that it kind of initially kind of creeps up on you. Maybe you don't notice it. It's not like you go to bed one night and you're this warm, loving, happy person, and then wake up the next morning and you're...
No, it's a long, slow
yeah.
process, unless it's from an oophorectomy,
yeah.
and then it's instant.
Right, yeah.
And then it's instant, and you go
Well, I have
crazy
to,
over a few days.
I have to tell you, though, I had an experience early on in my life where I had a horrible, it was from temperatures and things like that, but I had massive body sweats and everything else, and I told my husband, and I said, this is what menopause is like, I'd like to skip it, we'll just go. And then I end up having a complete, so I did kind of skip that whole part. So are there long-term side effects from being on the creams and stuff that you have to be aware of?
Well, there are. I think the study showed there's a 1.6% increase in breast cancer with estrogen therapy.
Okay.
Although we try to make sure that all of our women get annual breast exam followed by a mammogram. I won't order a mammogram unless I've done a breast exam.
Okay.
So I can, if I find anything, I know where to tell them to look.
Right, okay.
You know, we had, early in my career, I had several women that had normal mammograms with breast cancer.
Oh.
And so
Yeah.
now I insist on the breast exam first, so if I find something suspicious, I can direct the
Pinpoint it.
radiologist, and then
Yeah.
they know where to look. We do a diagnostic instead of just a screening.
Yes, okay.
And it's mandatory annually, or we go off the hormones.
Okay.
Well, and the other thing is those studies were done on synthetic hormones, or hormone analogs like Premarin or Provera, you know, we try to use all bioidentical hormones.
What does that mean?
Bioidentical hormones means that the hormones we use are identical to what a human woman produces.
Oh, okay.
It may be synthetic in that they were made from a plant source, but when they were put through the process in the lab, they were made to be identical to the
Okay.
hormones, the
That's
molecules.
kind of cool if they could do that.
They can do that, yeah.
And then, are there others that are done with animal or somehow with
Well, Premarin.
Premarin is made
Premarin
with
is
the
made from horse.
mare urine.
Yeah,
right?
pregnant mare urine is how
Yeah.
they got the name.
Okay.
And it has,
oh,
you know,
yeah, Premarin.
it has, 9 estrogens in it when a human woman only makes 3. So,
Wow. So
you're getting hormones that you don't need when you take Premarin.
does your body fight it off
I have
then?
no idea what happens.
What-
But I know if a woman starts counting with her feet, we know something's wrong.
I was just going to say, well, she gets a great affinity for carrots. Or That's too funny. I hadn't thought about that. And for the men, is it the similar kind of hormones? Or?
Men's are bioidentical as well.
Okay. But is theirs testosterone?
Just plain testosterone.
Okay.
And we give testosterone to women too.
Does that give you facial hair? What?
Not in the concentrations that we use.
Okay.
But women make testosterone as well, just at a much lower level.
Right.
And when that decreases, that's when the woman's libido will drop.
Oh,
And so we'll supplement.
okay.
We supplement all 3.
If they all go-
Estrogens, 2 of the estrogens. We use bias, 2 of the estrogens, progesterone and testosterone.
Okay.
And we do that even if women still have a uterus, because progesterone helps with controlling nervousness, anxiety, and we find that women that are menopausal or middle-aged that all of a sudden need a sleeping aid to get to sleep every
Oh,
night,
yeah.
getting on Premarin and they don't, or not Premarin, but getting on progesterone and they don't need it anymore.
Oh, that's nice, because
Yeah.
then it's one less pill they're taking, and
One less pill, and it's also natural.
yeah, that's way cool. And you said it's just helping your body do what it naturally is supposed
We're
to do.
trying just to replace the levels that your body naturally makes.
Yeah.
We don't try and get anybody on super high
Right.
levels or low levels, although if someone's a little low on their blood test, because we do mandatory periodic blood testing to see where the levels are. If they're a little low but they feel great, then we go with how they feel, not with the numbers.
Oh, that's nice. I mean, that's, I think it's reassuring for your patients as well, because it's like if it's not broke, don't fix it, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So, and men see the same kind of positive effects from
Same
being
kind
on
of positive effect. They'll see their muscle mass increase, their body fat go down, their cholesterol go down, they'll be less irritable, less depressed,
Really?
their memory improves.
I may have to send my husband. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, Marvin. No.
I'll tell you, I've had quite a few of the women that come in referred by their friends, and then the next thing they know, their husbands are showing up.
in time.
Yeah.
Mostly so they can keep up with them.
Keep up with them, or they realize that there's a problem there too.
Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. So you said you got into this kind of with from taking over Dr. Birkenbile's practice. So Before that, were you pretty much just focused on family medicine and just a normal
Family
aches
medicine,
and
even
pains?
I did a lot of years of urgent care.
Oh, okay. Like through fast tracks type of
I
thing?
worked-
Not
I mean,
here, but,
I actually did work at Fast Tracks
Oh,
for a
did
while
you?
on weekends, just a little bit
Oh,
here and
okay.
there, you know.
okay.
But I worked in a couple of large clinics in California before.
Okay, I
did
was
that.
just going to say, because you were in California before. Okay. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back, and we can talk more about some of those other parts of your past.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So stay tuned. We'll be back right after these messages. Depression, too.
Depression too. Your hormones, when they're low, you go into depression, and then sit around like a slug and start gaining weight.
Welcome back to Your Health Matters. My guest today is Dr. Kevin Brown with Kingman Family Practice. Thanks again for being on the show, Dr. Brown.
Thank you.
We were talking before the break about the different levels of service you provide in hormone replacement therapy in particular, and how much that can help improve a person's quality of life, not just their physical health, but their quality of life, it sounds to me, right?
That's what it's all about, yeah.
Yeah, it's not just, I feel okay, but it's like, I feel great, let's go. Let's go
Exactly.
do
I mean,
something.
It's like having a new lease on life.
Well,
you know.
that's amazing that hormones can make, I don't know that people realize how much hormones impact their bodies and their way of life.
We truly do, because it controls your metabolism, controls your mood,
Yeah,
you know,
that's
emotional state.
yeah. So a lot of times when you're really struggling, like with weight loss, you've gained a lot of weight and just can't take it off. So it could be your
Could be hormonal.
hormonal
Right.
that affects that. So people have that issue that are watching the show. They
Or
could call
depression.
you. Or depression too.
Or depression too. Your hormones, when they're low, you can go into depression, and then sit around like a slug and start gaining weight.
Yeah,
know.
it's a vicious cycle.
It's
you
a vicious
get into.
cycle. Of course, you know, part of this too is, you know, thyroid. Those aren't the male and female hormones plays a big role too. So we try and always check that too and balance it first. It's like the foundation.
Okay.
If your thyroid isn't, you know,
Working.
right, it's like trying to, and then you correct
And
everything else.
thyroid can go both ways, right? Either too much or
Too
not
much or
enough.
too low, yeah. And we try and do the thyroid first, because that's like, you know, you don't build a roof and then build
And
the
then
house and
with
then
the-
put the foundation in last.
Right,
You know,
yeah.
you start first at the bottom,
The kind
make
of
sure it's stable.
process
and then,
of elimination. Start there and eliminate. Make sure that's working, and
right.
then
We do the testing initially all up front, but we'll balance the thyroid first and then
Okay.
do the other hormones and add them in.
interesting. So if overall, I mean, your general health is good, but you're having those issues like your metabolism and just I don't know, lack of
Like a
get-
drive.
Yeah, that is something that could be looked at.
Should be looked at.
Yeah, sounds like it, because it doesn't have to be like that,
Doesn't
right?
have to be like that. A lot of people will just, you know, ignore things and think it's all going to get better.
Yeah.
You know, look at Marty Feldman.
Oh,
Remember him?
yeah, I do
Marty
remember
Feldman
him.
died of a thyroid storm from hyperthyroidism.
Seriously, I did not know that.
And every doctor in the world that I know of knew that he had hyperthyroidism.
Just from watching him.
Just from looking at his eyes. That's all it takes. You look at his eyes, you know he's got hyperthyroidism. We all assumed he was being treated.
Because he has the,
He had
the
those
kind
big
of bulging.
exophthalmic
yeah.
bulging eyes, and we all assumed that his doctor was managing it and it was controlled, and then he died, and it was like, wow.
Is somehow, boy, didn't catch it. That's,
No.
The rest of the world knew, but
Yeah, I mean, every
That's
doctor
sad.
knew. Just he didn't know because he didn't go to the doctor, apparently.
yeah. Well, that's a lot of things.
You know, but
that-
that's the thing with men. We
Yeah.
don't go to doctors.
Right, that's true. Now, I happen to know one in particular who says you saved his life. And it talks about how your patient care and the amount of time you take with your patients makes a difference. That you're not just pushing them through, they're not just a number, you
I
get
try not
involved.
to.
Yeah.
I try not to.
Well, and I think we talked just before the break that part of the reason for that is the fact that you didn't start as a doctor, you started as a person. I like that when you
Yeah.
said that. So you had a real life.
I had a real life first, you know, competed and, you know, did sports through college. I made sure I had a lot of activities I did well with. I took a long, convoluted road. You know, I became a physical therapist first.
Oh,
I worked in that field for several years and then went back to medical school. I was a little bit older than the average medical student.
Right.
So I was a little more mature going into med school and had a different perspective than just trying to get the best grades. And
I'm thinking you probably also then, by then knew better what you wanted to do
right.
versus going in right out of high school kind of thing in college. You just do it because you're going to make a lot of money sort of thing,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard a lot of docs, like we talked too, about how they get on the fast track and go to the best high school so they can get
Right.
in the best college, best medical
They
school.
want to get the best residency, and by the time they get out of that, all they know is competition. They don't know how to live.
And they haven't got that in touch with the human.
No, yeah. So
Yeah.
it takes a while.
Yeah, I would think. Makes sense. So you started out, did you always know you wanted to be in healthcare when you were a kid?
No, actually, I want to be an architect.
Oh, now that's a big difference. Well, kind of. I mean, you're rebuilding, just different. One inanimate, one animate.
Right. But when I was in junior college, I was competing in martial arts, and I tore some muscles, and I was worked on by an athletic trainer at the college, and he just did it gratis, It was kind of nice, and I thought, hey, this is kind of cool.
So you liked how he made you feel better and
Yeah, it helped me
with
get through
that.
this injury, and that'd be a good idea. Why don't I do this instead? Because that way I can stay and work with athletes, and
Yeah.
So I pursued that avenue, and then as I'm going through that, I kind of morphed into physical therapy from athletic training because I
Okay.
could help a wider variety of people instead
Right.
of just athletes.
Right. Yeah. And then from there, then after a while, then you decided you wanted to go back and be the full-fledged doctor.
Doctor, yeah,
Yeah. How long did that take?
too long. That took another, 6 years.
Oh, that's out of school.
Yeah.
And so you kind of, like you said, then you got late practicing.
Yeah. Fortunately for me, my undergraduate prepared me for medical school as a physical therapist. I only had to take 2 classes to
Oh.
apply to med school.
So you didn't have to do all that prereq stuff.
I'd done most of it,
Yeah.
everything that would qualify for it.
Okay. So then you got right into med school with
Yeah.
all the Doogie Housers. The younger
With all the young kids, yeah. There were a few in my class, as being an osteopath, there were a lot more older med students in there than just a lot of the fresh young ones.
And being an osteopath, that's a good point as well that I guess I'd like to clarify for our audience as well, that being an MD and a DO, you're doctors. You've gone through significant years of education and training.
Almost identical.
Right. And what is the difference?
The difference is, at least for my class, we had another 500 hours or more of diagnosing and treating musculoskeletal injuries and learning osteopathic manipulation.
So my perspective is that means you're a more well-rounded, full body kind of doctor.
That's the whole idea, yeah.
Yeah, that's just my
we
personal
were doing holistic care before there was a name for it.
What did we call it back then?
I don't know.
Just whole body.
I don't know. They just call it osteopathy.
Oh, okay. Osteopathy.
So
Yeah.
our school was founded in 1892 in a little town called Kirksville, Missouri.
And that's where you went to
That's where I went to med school too.
Okay.
I figured it, I learned in doing my reports when I was in high school from my Dr. Hashimoto, my history teacher, to always go to the source of an article and not just, secondary, but always go to the source.
Yeah.
So I went to the source for medical school.
Smart man. But I like that, the holistic approach, the whole body, and you're more naturopathic too, right? Whereas
Well, osteopathic.
osteopathic. Okay.
Yeah.
Explain.
Naturopath is actually a whole different degree.
Okay. Well, I know it's a different, I guess.
Well, we try and treat, our philosophy is that structure and function and health are related. And so if something doesn't function physically right, then it can't function physiologically right.
And it's going to affect the whole body.
It affects the whole body.
And I guess that's kind of what I was looking at and what
Right.
I've seen both from what I've heard of you and others like you that look at and take time to look at the whole person and what's going on.
Right.
And not just focusing on one, I'm in
Yeah,
for a
physically,
sore.
mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. The whole thing was
Yeah.
all part of the thing. I think our founding doctor was a Methodist minister as well.
So that you had the spiritual side as well.
All of it together, yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
I like it.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I just like the concepts better too. I think nowadays we have a tendency to get so specialized or so specific that we lose track of that whole person and all of the other pieces that go along with it and that impact your general health.
Yeah, I mean, there's a saying, the general practitioner knows nothing about everything, and the specialist knows everything about nothing.
I like that.
So-
That's a good one. I'm going to remember that one.
So, yeah.
Very good. So what we've talked, I mean, you've got a wide range of different areas that you cover with the Wound Care Center and circulation, using the hormones and helping people get that hormone balance in their bodies, and as well as then doing the full family medicine care. When we say family medicine, and I know you said at the beginning of the show that you focus on adults more than children. Do you see kids?
I see kids
Once
like
in a while?
8 and older.
Okay.
I just want them past all that shot thing.
Yeah. You don't like
Well,
giving
initially
shots.
when I didn't want to have all the shots just even in my office because you have to have them all there.
Oh,
you
true.
know.
Always have to be
They
available.
all have to be available, and my staff were all a little older and didn't want to have to deal with kids, so I did it for them. So I'm used to treating kids prior to that, but now I've just gotten used to not having kids, and I don't have to. And it kills me every time I hear a kid scream when they get a shot.
I know my office is right next to the outpatient lab, and every time there's a little one in there getting labbed, you can just hear him through the walls. So don't envy that. I really appreciate you being on the show today, Dr.
you're
Brown.
welcome.
I know I've learned a lot. Don't be surprised if you don't get a call from me. And we'll I hope you'll join us again next week when I'll have another great guest on the program.